So I got bored of all this stupid scratch stuff, this block coding. So I thought, why not just throw all that in the trash? I moved straight into a new coding language called Python. And me being stupid, I didn't find a game engine. I decided just to open up VS Code. Or more like Sublime Text, but who cares? How about we get straight into my painful journey of my first game. Now, just a heads up, I did do a test project just to see what some of the things did, so I have a slight understanding. So, we started out the way that you expect, making the window. Then spent absolute ages trying to get a square to show up on the screen, so then we can create our player. Then made the player yellow. After that, I attempted to implement jumping gravity, but it didn't end up working and would just give me an error in the terminal. So let's do a quick recap of what I've done so far. So we start by importing Pyglet, which is the framework that I'm using to make this game. Then we import shapes so that way the player can be rendered. Next we set up the window, which is pretty self-explanatory. The batch allows all the shapes that I'm going to end up putting in here to be rendered all at once instead of all separately. Then we set up the player's shape, which allows us to, render the player. After that, we define the gravity variable, which will allow the player to fall. This function right here allows whenever we refresh the screen, the window will clear and the player will be drawn. This next section is really simple. All it detects is when you press the space button, it will change gravity to equal 10, aka a jump. And finally, we run the program. So what the issue was is I forgot to import key, which allows the key to actually be detected. Okay, there we go. So Python and Pyglet are kind of stupid. And if you don't import key, basically it just doesn't register at all that a key was pressed. Which is basically what was happening here. So then after adding some basic gravity, it should work. Easy fix. Let's just fix this real quick. So basically, I didn't notice at the time, but gravity is set as a local variable, meaning that for each script that I'm running, it has a brand new variable being changed, which is why it's not associated with variable in this script. So what I need to do is switch it to a global variable, which will have the value be spread over all the scripts. Sadly, I wouldn't figure this out and just move on to the pipes. After trying to fix gravity for absolute ages, I decided to start on the pipes. Then after lots of coding and bug squashing, I almost had gravity working, and I got the pipe to render onto the screen. Then made the bottom pipe move. Getting the bottom pipe to move was quite simple actually. All I had to do was take away one from the X position every frame and make the pipe slowly move across the screen. Then doing the same thing for the top pipe was quite simple. All I had to do is flip the pipe upside down and put it on top of the screen and use the same script. And boom, pipes! And I know what you may be thinking. That did look a lot like gravity, but it's not gravity. You see, instead of constantly increasing the velocity of the bird, I am making the bird fall at a constant rate, which is not how Flappy Bird does it, which makes it kind of cheat, so I'm gonna fix that later. And after absolute ages of coding, bug fixing, all of the above when it comes to coding and stuff, I finally got the pipes to go up and down, depending on how many times we went through. and the bird to have somewhat gravity physics. It's still cheating, but at least I was able to get it to jump. For some of you might have noticed that I used ChatGPT. Now, I'm not considering this cheating. After all, it is my first game, so I'm not going to know everything. And also, one of my favorite quotes ever from I don't know who was, being a programmer doesn't mean to know how to code. It means to know how to know. Well, anyways, after a bit more tinkering with the gravity stuff, I was able to get it to work. After that, I decided to add a goofy little beak for almost no reason. After all of that, I got the Flappy Bird sprite into my game. It took a lot of debugging, but I finally got it to work. Textures slash... What the? Well, kind of work. There we go, that's better. And after even more scrambling for code, I got the icon up in the top left corner to be the Flappy Bird logo. Hold up. And finally, I attempted to make hitboxes, so that way you would die. Sadly, I didn't make it. I couldn't make it in time. So, I have a second part already recorded. It just needs to be edited. So that'll be out soon. Come back and watch that when it comes out. So let's go over what I've gotten done so far in this project. 1. I learned the difference between a local and global variable. 2. I got the pipes to go across the screen and reset correctly. 3. I got the bird to properly fall. In the next video, I will be getting the bird to collide with the pipes to end the game. I'll import the scores, I'll get the scores all working, I'll get the background working, and the pipes will be textured. Well, anyways, peace, and see you in the next one.